Hello, my name is Coach Bob Markovich, and today what I'd like to do is introduce you to the 5 pillars of transformational leadership. This is just going to be a quick overview of what those 5 pillars are. Let me start with just giving a brief description of what transformational leadership is. Transformational leadership was brought to our attention in about 1978. And the thought process behind transformational leadership is that an individual must first engage in transforming themselves. And as a result of transforming themselves, they can bring others down that path. That doesn't mean that you have to be 10, 15, 20 steps ahead of the next person. It just means you need to be one step ahead and you need to be going through a process of transformation. This process of transformation, sometimes I refer to it as a personal growth plan. So what is that personal growth plan that you have that is taking you down that path of transformational leadership? So that is what transformational leadership is. When we talk about the 5 pillars, the first pillar is that leaders show up. Transformational leaders show up. You cannot lead if you're not there physically, if you're not there mentally, if you're not there engaging with the people that you're trying to lead. We played a game back when I was young. It was called Follow the Leader. And whatever the leader did, you would have to do. So if the leader, kind of like Simon Says, right? If the leader puts his or her hands on their head, you have to do it. If the leader jumps up and down, you have to do it. How can you play follow the leader if the leader isn't present? So a transformational leader must show up and be able to lead. The second pillar of transformational leadership is transformational leadership they encourage. Transformational leaders encourage. They are a positive motivation. People respond better and learn more in positive circumstances than they do in negative circumstances. So leaders show up and they encourage. They're encouragers. One of the items of leadership that I've been studying for the last year or so is how do we hold people accountable? And that accountability piece in leadership is difficult to do because we assume that we have to be aggressive or angry. No, we don't. When we want to hold somebody accountable, you ask a question: were you able to do this task that I asked you to do? If the answer is no, the accountable leader, that leader that encourages, is going to say, how can I help you accomplish that? So that is the second pillar. Now, here is another piece. Everyone is a leader. I get asked all the time, are leaders created or do leaders exist? You know, everybody's a leader. And the reason why everyone is a leader is because we have to lead ourselves. The most important thing to understand is that this whole transformational leadership process, I must lead myself. Now, we can be positive leaders and we can be negative leaders. You know, positive leaders are ones that are growing mentally, they're growing physically, they're growing spiritually, and they're moving down that path, becoming, and through that process of being a transformational leader. Negative people, those that want to be a negative influence, they're constantly battling negativity and unable to encourage other people. So we need to be positive as well. Transformational leadership is a verb. Just like when I talked about follow the leader, the leader has to be present. So as a transformational leader, we have to show, others need to see in us that we are moving forward, that we are becoming transformed, that we are leading, right? That we get our hands dirty and get in there. We help people. And when we hold people accountable, we dive right in there and help them with that. So transformational leadership is a verb. Now, the fifth and final part of this is that transformational leadership is a process. Okay. The thought is here that I start down this path of personal growth. I start down this path of becoming a transformational leader. And what happens is that I progress through it. I process through it. One thing that I like to do is I like to make I like to smoke meats. I've done thousands of pounds of smoked meats over my career, and one thing that I've learned is you cannot force a pork butt or you cannot force a brisket to get done. It's a process. Smoking, like many of you know, it's not a science; it's an art. Depending on the pressure, the air pressure during the day, the heat during the day, depending on the quality or the piece of meat that you have, you need to do different things. It's a process. You can't just take a pork butt, for instance, throw it into the oven for a half an hour, 45 minutes, and begin eating it. Even if you cook it to the point where it is 160 degrees on the inside, right? Pork, you can eat it at 160 degrees. It probably isn't going to be palatable. So what you have to do is it's a low and slow process. It takes time. It's not one of those fast items that you want to cook. If you're gonna be doing smoking or you're gonna be doing brisket or pork, you're going to take your time. So transformational leadership is a process. Now, you see scrolling at the bottom is a way to get a hold of me. You can email me at bob@highperformanceteams.coach, or you can call or text at 440-506-6138. I'd love to engage in a conversation with you about transformational leadership. All you got to do is get in touch with me, and we'll schedule a time to talk. Thanks so much for taking 6 minutes and 40 seconds out of your day to listen to this. Let me know how I can help.